So the one thing that had the biggest effect on my landscape paintings getting better, I stopped making the finished painting my goal at the beginning of the painting. I made my goal at the beginning of the painting to just cover the canvas with paint and to block out the whole scene with these big shapes of flat color. Once I did that, everything became a lot more clear and a lot more simple. And when I would look at a scene, I wouldn't get intimidated because I could see what it would look like with those simplified shapes. And so like when I would go out and plein air paint, I wasn't worried about time because I knew all I had to do was get that scene on the canvas with these simple shapes. Now I figured the best way to teach this would just be to show you. So I'm going to show you from a full tutorial that I have on my Patreon. I'm going to show you up until the point where I complete this stage of the painting. Now if you want to see the full version of this tutorial along with 100 others, you can do it on my Patreon. You can do a 7-day free trial and watch it for free if you want. But I'm going to stop talking now and get on to the tutorial. I'll see you at the end. Some palm trees and out on like this farm area. I took this photo about a year or so ago. It's got a 9x12 linen panel. Put a wash of burnt sienna and ultramarine blue with some paint thinner. Wiped with a paper towel. Still a little bit wet. Palette, ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, cadmium red, yellow ochre, cadmium lemon, and titanium white. And I'm going to get this drawn in just using a number 2 flat brush. Use whatever you feel comfortable drawing with. It's like drawing with paint. A little ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. Something I like to do is, I'm not going to be drawing this exactly how it is. I'm going to be drawing it pretty close, but I like to just get general like halfway points just to help me kind of figure out where everything lies within this. And kind of just helps me figure out where exactly I should be plotting things, which is very, very helpful. So let's just start drawing here. Just gonna be drawing in big shapes. I'm keeping in mind, like I want my focal point to be this right here, kind of bright, because the sky's gonna be bright and these darks and kind of this one palm area. So I kind of want to get that going. I like the direction of these. And then you kind of got that one there. And there's this group. Palms there. I'm just going to have that just go right off to the edge there. You can see I'm really thinking about these trees in groups. And I'm grouping them into simple shapes, and I'm trying to keep these shapes as unique as possible. So I kind of have this bigger shape, small shape, and kind of like a medium-sized shape there. And now I like this shadow in the foreground. I'm just going to have that kind of come across, not in a perfect line. I've kind of, a little made it imperfect. And now when I do this next part, like this grass that's in light, I want to make sure this distance is more than this distance. So like somewhere around there is probably good. Something like that. kind of get a feel, and then this tree here. Palm comes right there. Here. That there. Kind of some brush here. And then all of this, like this big bush, I'm going to really simplify that. Just have that. Just kind of be all right there. And what I did right here, this, I'm going to make that like a little area of like grass, or you can see these bushes, kind of breaking that, because I don't want this strong line just going straight off the page. It's going to kind of break it up a little bit, kind of act as a buffer. Keep your eye from just going right off the page. Got this cool little sky hole, kind of mimicking that right there. And, you know, just so you know, like these decisions that I'm making in terms of composition of like where this is and like what I'm simplifying, like I did do a little sketch. Like I did figure this out before I started doing it. If you like want like a full thing on composition, my composition coaching guide, it's free. You can take a look at that. I believe there should be a collection Patreon here of guides. If not, I'll try to put a link in the description or comments of this post where you can just learn more about composition, kind of how I come to that sketch. I've done some other Patreon posts kind of explaining that stuff too. I really like this curved palm tree right there. And I know like a lot of these are in light, and I'm just kind of using just a line to just indicate them right now. I'm not like worrying about like doing it exactly how I see it. And got these trees. Back in the distance. What I want to do is I want to make sure I don't. So I guess this, try to not repeat any of the same width. Maybe I'll do that. And you see this cloud up here? I'm actually going to move that. I'm going to put it right at my focal point. So this is going to have the cloud in the background. So it's going to be this really bright right next to the shadow of that. It's really dark. I'll show you how we're going to do that later. It's not that difficult. But I just got to really kind of pay attention to all these kind of like horizontal shapes that I'm stacking. Like there's that distance. I guess now this is this distance, which is good. These are very different. And I got this and this. So I think they're different enough. Just something to kind of pay attention to when you have repeating shapes, is you don't want all those to be the same, and This, I mean, this right here, between the cloud and that, it's going to be so similar that I actually don't even think it's going to probably read as a full-blown like shape anyway. Another thing I like to do here, kind of helps me see things a little more clearly, is I like to block everything out in 3 values: dark, mid-tone, and light. And I know that there's like shadow in these palm trees and there's light, but I see this as just 1 value. And that's how I'm going to want to paint it. So even though there will be a difference in value between the light and the shadow of the palm trees, I would say it won't be big enough that when I squint, they come together. Because like when I look at this and I squint, these values are so close together that I'm like, okay, when I do this this is like why I do this part of breaking my composition down to 3 values: dark, a mid-tone, and light. The mid-tone is the tone canvas. This is the dark, and then I'll wipe away the lights. And the fact that this little tip, if you have a shadow like this in the front, it's kind of easy for the viewer's eye to like kind of go past it, which is good to like go into the painting. If this was like kind of reversed, like if this was in light and then this was all in shadow, it kind of, I don't know, people call it like a fence. It acts like a fence, and it's or a wall, and it's hard to get over. Squint these trees in the back. Those will be a dark as well. And now these trees, the part that are in light, I know they look really bright, but they will be a mid-tone. And this will be parts in shadow. These trunks are great verticals. It's always hard to find verticals in landscapes. It's easy to find horizontals, you got tree lines, you got the horizon line, clouds, like a lot of things just are vertically in there. And you see how like there's like part of this is like in light, and this is in light, little parts in not light. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have this all be in shadow. Like I don't need all that like contrast, light, dark, I might put like a few little areas that are getting hit with a little more light, but I just don't want it to be distracting. Like this isn't what the painting's about. Like I don't need a ton of attention here. I would say like doing a painting, like composing a painting compositionally in terms of like what you decide to focus on. It's kind of like it's like a story or like a movie, and like there's supporting characters and there's main characters, and like this is a supporting character. We don't need this supporting character to give a 5-minute monologue on their backstory. And that's what like I'll see people that get like super detailed and they put all this like detail and everything in here, and it's like, all right, like you got all this detail on like just this little part of the painting, so everybody's kind of like, what's going on over here? And then they don't, everything's not over there. Took me a long time to figure that out. Another little composition tip: try not to keep the corners simple. Don't have a lot going on here. Kind of keep the focus in here. Okay, so we got interesting composition going here. Dark, mid-tone, light. Now you can take get a little paper towel, a little paint thinner, pull off some of that tone. Because that's where the focal point will be. we are ready to start painting. So now we have this, we can, you know, just start adding in the colors that are in this value. And just to kind of talk a little bit more about composition, I'll probably have like a few, like these little dark, like little shadows, kind of imperfections in the grass. Put a couple of those which kind of drift you. To like the next level of the painting. All right, so let's just start with the sky. Got a bigger brush, got a number 4. It's gonna get some ultramarine blue, some white. It's gonna do the top of the sky. It's gonna get just a very, very little bit of burnt sienna just to not make the sky super, super vibrant. And what I'm going to do is just block out the scene. So I like to say with big shapes of flat color. Now with sky, it's always cooler and darker towards the top. So that's what I'm doing now. By the time I get down here, it'll be lighter and warmer. Can push this a little bit lighter. All right. So let's just, so we got the blue here. Push a little white and a touch of the cad lemon because as you go down the sky, it gets lighter and also gets warmer. So down here, leaving spaces for those tree trunks just to make it easier to paint over top of. Let me go back, push a little more blue just for this little sky hole back here. Now for this cloud, I'll push some white, just a tad bit of cad red to push a little more purplish. It's not going to be, it's not like a huge change, and I'm not putting in like the brightest lights of it just yet. That, I'm kind of jumping ahead here and just kind of softening transition between the sky and the cloud there. But let's move on. These trees in the background, going to clean my brush. Still using a big brush. Get some blue, some yellow ochre. Using the yellow ochre because it is saturated yellow, and this
set of trees is in the background, so it's not going to be super, super vibrant. But I do want to make sure they stay as a dark value. A little bit of, grab a little bit of that white. Push a little more blue. Cool it down just a little bit. Maybe a touch of crimson. Come back a little more yellow ochre. I'm just going to block this out. A little more blue. Just one simple shape. See how it's already kind of like sitting in the background a bit? Because it's desaturated. All right, now this grass is next. Let's just start a fresh pile here. Start with the green, just blue and yellow. Got your green. Now this green, that grass is in the distance, so add some crimson, desaturate that green, a little bit of white, maybe push the blue, cool it down, a little yellow ochre. Kind of see, it's a little dark because I need this to be a mid-tone. So comparing it to those trees, it needs to be lighter. Sure they saturated a good amount. Like, see how it's lighter than the trees, but I can probably make it a little bit lighter. You can always come back and alter that if you need to. Actually, just get some of the sky. It's a little white and a little bit of blue. We'll just push it a little lighter and a little cooler. Maybe a little red. All right. Now, got that going. Let's do, should we do the grass or should we do the trees next? Let's just do these, let's do the trees. Let's clean my brush. I'm gonna block out the shadows of the trees. See, with these trees, I am gonna block out light and shadow. But remember, gotta keep both of them dark. So for the shadow of the tree, just going to get some blue, some yellow again. Start with the green. Not as much yellow, keeping it dark. Then a good amount of red. They'll desaturate that green, make it more realistic. So keep it dark. I'm doing the shadow of the tree right now. And so I'm squinting my eyes. And I'm thinking about like where the light is coming from. You know, if you kind of look at this post here, or, you know, even the trees, like light's coming from, where we're standing, like kind of coming over our left shoulder. So makes sense that there is like shadow here. It's going to be like more towards the right and like underneath these. And I'm going to pull that right out into there. Got that soft edge, but there is paint. If you can see now, I got white, or the paint of the cloud on my brush, so I want to make sure I get that off before I come back and block this out more. Trying to still keep it all simple shapes for right now. And if I do, come out and create little palms, which I'm going to try and not do so much right now. Got that, and I got this big dark shape here, which is cool. Just mixing up some more of the same dark green here. All right. Now, I'm going to move on to the light side. Doesn't mean that we won't come back and put in more shadows. These are the big major shadow shapes. Just going to bring this all the way over. So now when I go to mix up the light side, let's mix it up right next to it. I'm just finding an average color for right now. Good amount of red in there. See how it's lighter, but still dark. And let's just fill in the light side. We're not worried about palms just yet. It's amazing how much you can communicate with a subject, like these palm trees, for example, by just getting the light shape right and the dark shape right, and then the silhouette. Meaning, we haven't done the silhouette yet, but look, I just grouped I grouped all of them technically together, but what's going to make them read as palm trees is the shadow, the light, and then the silhouette. Like, I don't need to indicate every single little palm within this, but here I'll kind of jump ahead and just demonstrate with this one here. If I put a little attention towards the silhouette of this, it's going to start reading a lot more like a palm tree. See, that's like if you just had just that, people know it's a palm tree. But then there's other things you can do too, like it's not just the silhouette of the whole object, but also you can apply it to the silhouette of the light shape and the shadow shape. Meaning if I come back here with some of the shadow, I'm trying to get the same color here, and like kind of cut back in, maybe there's some shadow in there, deep in there, and I kind of, the outline of this shadow shape, if I mess around with that a little bit, make it more natural, now it's really starting to become a palm tree. And I can do the same thing. I can come back with some of the lights. Don't want too much now. Back into the shadows and do that even more. So just kind of wanted to show you like where we're going with this. So it's gonna mix up more of this light. And we will put in like these burnt palms at the bottom, like we will get those in. Don't worry. Really making sure I get enough red into this. Last thing, I want this to be like too saturated. So again, just kind of staying inside the lines for right now, so I don't have to worry about my brush going into the blue really and kind of getting that color. And always, step back and squint your eyes. If you step back and squint your eyes and these two values don't kind of come together as one, that means that you're making your light side too bright. A little paint thinner in there. All right. So now let's do these bushes and everything in shadow. So I'm going to mix up just a base dark green, a little bit of red, just covering this area. Just one flat shape for right now. But again, I want that shape to read as a dark. Probably need to go a little cooler. Push a little more blue, a little more crimson. Whoa, too much blue there. All right, since we're working with shadow already, I'm just going to jump to this shadow, just similar to this, maybe a little bit more blue. Kind of cool it down a little bit. Switch my brush here. It's actually number 6. You're still getting a good amount of the red in there to keep it desaturated. All right, now we need the grass and light. Push some yellow. To the crimson. Very little bit of white. See how it has more yellow in it than this? It's going to help sit it in front. Still mid-tone, meaning you have to make it lighter than your trees, but also darker than your sky. So you kind of have to thread that needle a little bit. A little bit of red in there. And then we can kind of pull a little bit up right there. And kind of come through and pull up just a little bit in certain areas. Right now we should probably get back to those the palms. So for the shadow areas, I'm gonna get some blue, burnt sienna, some white, a touch of cad red. Just looking for a desaturated purple. It's still pretty dark. This one come over. Don't worry about like doing like the placement of these trunks like exactly where you see them in the photo. Tops always tend to be in shadow from just the palm above casting shadow. Okay, now for the light side, let's just push some white into this and then push a little more burnt sienna. Thing with photos is I feel like reds don't show up enough, like in photographs. So like these lights, I know they seem pretty like gray, but we're just gonna push a little more burnt sienna into and warm them up a little bit. And you should be able to see these against your sky, meaning these should be slightly darker than your sky. Maybe a little bit of yellow ochre. But you see how you can see that against the sky? I push maybe a little more burnt sienna, kind of warm it up just a little bit more. Okay, so now we have paint covering the entire canvas. And some of you might be thinking like, wow, like how is it that like this landscape already looks, you know, better than landscapes you've done where you've spent like weeks in detail and detail? It's because I figured out the things that really matter, which is the composition, you know, this thing, figuring out that first, which, I know, easier said than done. Knowing the right values and being able to plug in the right values into these shapes and that they're interesting shapes. I know it's a lot of things all at once, but at least seeing this, you know what to focus on. Like a lot of people, myself included, will spend tons and tons of time focusing on the wrong things, thinking like, oh, like I need to get better at like painting trees. It's like, not necessarily. You need to understand like what is required of the fundamentals for you to paint the tree. Like, you know, are your trees in an interesting shape? Are they composed right? You know, get that first, then kind of learn a certain, you know, your style or how you want to paint the trees. And you're like, people are like, oh, like I need certain paints. I need certain colors. I need to learn glazing. I need to learn, you know, like all these other things. And it's like, get this first. Like, you know, really, really master like this first. And it will make your paintings, you know, so much better and a lot more fun and enjoyable to paint.
Okay, so I hope seeing that process step by step helps you see a clear path to figuring out landscape painting. And if you ever wondered, like, how do people, you know, paint landscapes so quickly, or, you know, paint outside while everything's changing, this is how. Again, if you want to see the full version of this tutorial along with 100 others and be part of the Paint Coach private Facebook group, the link to my Patreon is in the description of this video. You can do a 7-day free trial. If you want to get some quick bite-sized minute-long painting lessons, you can check those out on my Instagram at Forza43. I'm Chris Fornatero, here telling you to go get painting.